It's time for beef ribs today. My name's Corey and welcome to the Rub Society. So traditionally beef ribs, brisket, the debate is on whether or not brisket is king, beef ribs are king. Look, I can't split them. So I'm gonna today take you through my method on how to cook beef ribs. So today we're going to be using a Weber kettle to do this. We have a lovely rack of beef ribs that we've picked up from our local butcher in Aldinga. I am going to be using two rubs on this one. I'm going to be using Angus and Oink Black Gold. So this is a supercharged SPG. Amazing flavors on this. And I'm also going to be using Low and Slow Basics Beef Bounce, which again, the combination of flavors is going to be incredible. We have the Weber kettle set up with a snake. I'm not going to bore you with how I did the snake, but that's all done. I've got a 10 to 12 briquettes on getting hot at the moment, and then we're going to put them at the start of the snake. I'm going to throw a couple of pieces of natural smoke, some cherry wood, and also some pecan wood through the, or pecan wood as our American friends would say, over the snake, and we're going to smoke them on that using the amazing Olive Pip Co briquettes. So it's going to be good. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to layer the beef bounce on the bottom. Now, some people, there's a bit of some videos I've seen going around where people do cut off the fat cap and also the membrane on the bottom. I do. Some people don't. It's your personal preference. It's whatever you want to do. You do you. But for today, I've taken off the fat cap and I've also removed the membrane. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start on the bottom. I'm going to put a generous coating of beef bounce on this. And it can be pretty liberal when it comes to this. And on the back, it's really not, you don't have to get too much on the back. Don't forget the sides. I'll get some of this. Now this is awesome because it does have activated charcoal in it and it is going to make an epic bark on this. It's a bit windy out here today, so we have to try and that's sorted all around. Give it a pat in, don't rub it in, just give it a pat in where you can. Being that it's the bone side, it's gonna probably come off a little bit. You can use a binder. I choose to not. I've just taken this out of the packaging, so it is still pretty wet. So just move that around. That smell, oh, that's amazing. These are going to be an epic set of ribs here. So again, on the top, we'll do the same. Wind. And we are just about ready to go. So we'll come back. We'll let that sit in for about 10 or 15 minutes, just until the briquettes are ready to go. I'll throw a couple of the wood chunks on, and then we'll be right back. And then we'll throw them on. The temperature we'll be aiming for is to cooking today is between 250 and 275 degrees Fahrenheit. So we're back when the briquettes are ready to go. All right, our briquettes are in the kettle and it is preheating. It's time to get these ribs on. Hot enough in here. So if you want to quickly come and have a look here, we do have our wood chunks here. So we've got a cherry chunk, a pecan chunk, and another cherry chunk. And hopefully that'll be enough for the first 4 hours of the cook to give the ribs a really decent amount of smoke. And put the thicker end toward the fire. And as the fire comes around, I'll rotate the ribs around as well. So we're going to leave this now. We're going to probably check on it in 2 or 3 hours. Once everything is sort of up to temperature, probably we'll just leave it, let it ride without wrapping it for 8 to 10 hours. Then we'll come back at the end and give it a wrap while it's resting. So we're going to probably spritz within the first sort of 3 to 4 hours, but we'll come back and check in a couple of hours. All right, we're about 3.5 hours in, so it's time to check. So it's looking good. I'm just gonna see if the bark's set, which usually when you sort of just put your finger on the meat and just see if any of the rub comes off, which is pretty good. It hasn't looked like it has. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna give it a quick spritz. It's just looking a touch dry, but just give it a quick spritz here. That's probably all we need to do there. We've got some really good drawback on the bone as well. So it's coming along nicely, and the smell of those rubs are pretty good. We're gonna have a look at the snake here. It's probably, we're probably nearly halfway through. So, we've probably still got another 4 to 6 hours of this snake. So temperature's been bang on, sort of between that 250 to 275 mark, which is good, which is what we've been looking for. So another couple of hours and I reckon we'll be ready to rest and wrap. So we'll see you then. All right, we are done. I've been temping these for the last hour and we are probing really, that's just no resistance there at all. It's just probing like butter. So these things are done. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some butcher's paper to wrap them. I'm just going to spray the paper just to give it a bit more pliability when I want to put the ribs on. So now this last bone is just about falling out. You can see it's amazingly, that bark is just very epic, and I can't wait to eat these. So just gonna wrap it nice and tight. Now what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to put it into an esky and I'm going to let it rest for probably 45 minutes to an hour, and then I'll probably put it in towel as well just to keep it going. But I think that's all good. So we should be right. I'm going to come back in about an hour. We're going to cut. Might lose a bit of the light, so we might have to move inside. But can't wait. All right, inside La Casa. It's a bit dark outside, and we are ready to unwrap and see how we did. So we've rested for about 45 minutes. The smell is amazing on these ribs. So I'm just going to move them over. Right, that bark is set really nicely, and yeah, excellent. So I'm just going to cut this one. That end bone has just fallen out. Oh yeah, have a look at that. That's unbelievable. Juicy, tender, beautiful. We'll cut this last one. This last one will be our tester. Just come off. There's dogs outside that are smelling what's going on right about now and really wanting a piece of this. So I'm just going to cut. That smoke ring is just amazing. The bark on this is just epic. Now it's time to taste. That's That is amazing. That rub combination of the black gold and the beef bounce has just made these unbelievable. That there's just the flavors that come through, the activated charcoal, the salt, the pepper, the garlic. It's just unreal. We've got to try this. All the rubs and fuels and wood that we use today are available at the Rub Society, www.therubsociety.com.au. I'm going to go and get into these, and I will see you in the next